You're listening to Finish the Damn Book, the podcast for procrastinators. Susie Schaefer, known as the Book Doula, works with authors and publishing professionals to turn stories into movements that make an impact.
Welcome to this episode of Finish the Damn Book. I'm your host, Susie Schaefer. My guest today is James Ransom, who has been working with business authors since 2014. He started as a book editor, ghostwriter, and coach, helping over 300 coaches, consultants, creators, and business owners bring their ideas to the page. After a sabbatical in the early 2020s, James expanded into book marketing and monetization. He now also writes educational lead magnets, newsletters, and LinkedIn content that directly connected finished books to booked sales calls. Wow. As an author himself, James understands the full ecosystem because he's lived both sides of it. His goal is to help business authors and other book professionals make more money. Outside of working with authors and fellow book experts, James is a semi-professional choral tenor, an aspiring poker player, a voracious audiobook listener, and a full-time cat dad to Sylvie and Shadow. Welcome, James.
Hi, Susie. Thanks for having me.
So let's start with that sabbatical. Do you miss ghostwriting and editing, or do you feel like you found your calling with the book marketing and monetization?
So it's funny. I'm not actively looking for those things, but occasionally they do find me.
Yeah.
There's a couple people right now who run their own publishing imprints that will bring me on for either to as sort of a ghostwriting assistant, where they're going to do the interview and client facing work, but I'm going to help turning the transcript into a draft, or I'm going to do some editing and coaching around a particular client that needs it. So I took the sabbatical because I had gotten a little bit burned out with the book creation side of things, but I think a lot of that had to do with the feast or famine of finding clients that I was going through at the time, and also just having a couple clients that were not the most fun, but as happens sometimes. But it's nice to be able to come back in a way that just feels more authentic for me, and that it's not necessarily dependent on me going out and finding those clients, because the going out and finding and interacting with the people that I can help on the marketing side, I actually really do enjoy.
Right. Okay, well, that's good because it sounds like you have kind of found your place now.
I hope so. It definitely feels a lot more aligned and a lot more directional than it did, a few years ago when I was on
Yeah.
the creation side. I do think one thing that is helping is there are a lot of really good ghostwriters and editors and book coaches out there, and when I was in that space, I was one of all of them.
Yeah.
And the space that I'm in now, there are a lot fewer people doing specifically what I do.
Mm-hmm.
So I can come back to all of these other book people and all the authors that they help and offer something that is a value add, that's not the same as what everybody else is doing.
Right.
And I like that.
And what you're doing is unique because a lot of people talk about book marketing, but they don't talk about the monetization piece of it. And I think that's really important because your book is a tool. So you have to figure out, how am I going to use that tool to bring in more clients, to get speaking engagements, to do those types of things. So I think you maybe have found a niche that is not really tapped into yet.
I mean, it seems that way. It's early days yet, but it does seem that way so far. One of the things that I've noticed, and you alluded to when you were introducing me, I have worked on both sides of this, and I've seen the ecosystem of basically I've been the broke author, and that's not very fun, and I've been the the broke book professional, and that's not very fun either. So I would like to help those people make more money. One of the things that I noticed as I sort of reflect back on the years that I did this was there has been, and there often continues to be, this assumption that once you write the book, things are just going to start happening. Like, the book comes out and you're gonna hit some kind of bestseller list. You're gonna get a bunch of reviews. You're gonna um, be on a bunch of podcasts. You're gonna have speaking gigs find you. You're gonna have clients hammering down your door. Money's gonna start pouring in, et cetera, et cetera. And those things are not automatic. And some of them, there are systems and people who help with, that I know any number of people who will help with the publishing and the book launch and the reviews and things like that. But what I have seen a lot less of is the direct connection between here's the book and here's the money you want to make from it. Here's the book and here's the sales pipeline that you want to fill.
Right.
And so what I do is designed to bridge that gap. So you have this sense of um you have the book and then you have a piece of infrastructure, an educational lead magnet or something similar that bridges over to the sales pipeline by basically allowing whoever sees the book, whether they read it or not, whether they buy it or not, whether they leave a review or not, to get into your ecosystem, get onto your email list, and then get this immense amount of value that you have to offer them that basically teaches you everything you need to know to solve your problem over an email sequence of 5 to 7 days.
Yeah.
And so by the time you finish that, you've got all the information that you need, and you're also pre-framed to be like, hey, this person who wrote this book about this and sent me this email course really knows what they're talking about. And then at the end of that, when the author is like, so I just gave you a whole lot of information, and you can take that and solve your problem, and you have everything you need to know, but it's kind of a lot. Would you like some help?
Yeah.
And then, they book the discovery call. And suddenly there is this connection between the book and the visibility and the material and the expertise and the sales pipeline that didn't exist before.
Right.
So that's what I'm here to fill. That's the gap I'm here to bridge.
Before we move on, I want to say something to you directly. If you've been carrying the idea of a book for a while, there's a reason it hasn't been finished yet. Not because you can't do it, but because trying to do it alone keeps you in the same loop, thinking about it, starting and stopping, second guessing what comes next. That's the gap I help close. Inside Finish the Book Publishing, I work with you to take what you've started or what you've been holding on to and guide it all the way through to a finished, published book with clarity, direction, and real momentum. So if you're ready to move this forward, you can learn more at finishthebookpublishing.com. Yeah, I love that. And book marketing always seems to be like the monster in the room for many authors. How do you work with authors to help them overcome that fear of marketing?
I'll start that by saying there's a lot of things in book marketing that I don't actually do. Like I don't do the back end publication stuff that you are so very good at. I love that you do that, so I don't have to. But also like I don't really do a launch. I don't do review campaigns. I don't do podcast tours. I don't do anything bestseller related. But what I do, as I said, is connect the book to the money that people want to make. And so there is this fear that a lot of authors have around. Sometimes it shows up as, the book, what if the book isn't good enough? Or
Right.
what if nobody reads it? Or what if I put a whole bunch of time and money into it and nothing happens? And it's a very real fear. It's a
Yeah.
very like deep, visceral, in pit of your stomach kind of thing. Because if you're going to put, 8 months and, $15,000 or whatever it is into a project like this, not to mention all of your expertise and time and attention and focus, you want it to accomplish something. You want to feel like it worked.
Mhm.
And it's there's a lot of fear that, well, what if it doesn't?
Yeah.
And like I've been there. Like I published a book in 2018 that made me no money. And that was scary. That was disappointing. I was married at the time, and my wife was sort of looking at me and be like, "Hey, so is anything happening with this? Like, is anything going to come out of this? This is a thing that you just spent like 5 months on, 8 months on," and it honestly it didn't really. So I know what that feels like, first of all, so I can have that conversation with someone who's feeling it, but for business authors in particular, there is a path to basically overcoming some of that, which is saying, okay, if you're selling something high ticket on the back end and you have a way of infrastructure to connect the book to that thing, you will make your money back. And
Mhm.
you will make profit over and above it. And you will make money over time going forward. If all you're trying to do is sell the book by itself, that's going to be harder because there's
Yeah.
a lot less money in selling a book than there is in selling, a $5,000 coaching package or whatever. But if you run a business, if you have a service you provide, if you're a coach, you're a consultant, you're a mentor, you're a founder, you're a speaker, something like that, you have an offering, even if you haven't figured out what it is yet, you have an offering that you want to sell on the back end. You want this book to drive attention to. All I'm doing is helping you build that connection. so that when the book comes out, when you start to get all the visibility that you're going to get, you get people just moving into the sales pipeline in a way that they wouldn't have had an opportunity to or known that they could do otherwise. And so let's say you pay me $6,000 to set that up for you, which is that is what I charge to set up this educational lead magnet and everything that goes with it. If you have a $3,000 product on the back end, you sell two of them, you break even.
Yeah,
And then everything else after that is profit. So
exactly.
let's say you sell two of them a month for the next year, you paid me in the first month, and the other 11 months is however much that is in math. I don't do math, but it's a bunch of money. And so now, yes, not every book is about the money. I get that. People, they want to tell stories, they want to change lives, they want to inspire, they want to do all those things, and that's fine. I have no problem with that. That's very, it's noble, it's inspiring. If that's what you want to do, that's great. But if you run a business and you want the book to help grow the business, to help bring more clients in, bring more money in, all these things like that, and you're not directly connecting the book to the sales pipeline, you're gonna be disappointed.
Yeah. And you're right, because that is exactly how we determine what your return on investment is not selling books. It's how do you use that book to monetize it in different ways. So you've written and published 4 books. Do you have one that is a better seller than the others?
No, I do not. um, because I worked in the creation side as long as I did, I did work with a few authors that were more successful than others, and typically the authors that were more successful, I can think of one who is an innovation expert who speaks around the world on corporate innovation practices and training and stuff like that. Um, the book I worked on with her did very, very well, in no small part because she already had all of this business already lined up.
Right.
Books are very, very good at expanding on and making things better that already work, that you're already doing. Books are not great at 0 to 1. They're really good at like 3 to 7.
Mm,
Um,
yeah.
so that authors like that who already had, a an audience and a coaching practice or consulting practice and a lot of visibility already, book can help them do what they're already doing. But I also worked with authors who were either closer to the beginning or just still figuring out exactly what they wanted to do or how they wanted to sell the thing that they were doing. And some of the books did okay. Some of them sold up to a point. Some of them hit a lot of metrics that make it look like they're doing well, like they, hit Amazon bestseller in a bunch of categories, got a bunch of reviews, things like that. I don't necessarily know that all of them brought in a lot of clients or a lot of revenue for the people that I worked with. I know some of them did some, but most of the ones that I worked with that didn't have like an established business already, that didn't have an established offer that they wanted to drive the book to, and that they didn't have a connection between the book and that offer, didn't do that great. And I number myself among those. Like
Yeah.
I published a book in 2018, like I said, that didn't make me any money, didn't get me any clients, in large part because that infrastructure to help make that happen wasn't there because I didn't know how to create it yet.
Right, right. So it may be worth it for you to go back to some of those clients you worked with before that had not great results and say, "Hey, remember me? I
Hmm.
shifted gears and I now have this system that
Yeah, I
can
actually
actually."
have 4 or 5 of those on my list to reach back out to
There you go.
in the next few weeks. Like I'm doing a lot of outreach right now, but those people definitely need to be on that list for sure.
For sure, because you didn't have those tools available to them when they published, but now you do. So now you can
Yeah,
offer that to them and say, "Hey, let's look at this. How can we, make this work for your business?" Yeah, why not?
absolutely.
Yeah, very cool. Okay, now let's talk a little bit about intuition.
Mhm.
When did your intuition play a part in you making a decision and moving forward and seeing it be successful? And when was the time that maybe you didn't listen to your intuition?
This is not necessarily going to be book related. But
That's okay.
I did honestly last year. I tried to do 2 full-time jobs at the same time. and I didn't really listen to a lot. Like I had like big dollar signs in my eyes. I was like following the are unemployed or overemployed thing on Reddit type of thing, where I'm like, the only way to do this is to hide the jobs from each other and try and do like that, and that it blew up on my face. It
Mhm.
absolutely blew up on
Yeah.
my face,
Yeah.
and what I think I didn't listen to was the idea, just the idea of not being honest about those things would not work for me. I didn't feel good doing that. And one of the jobs ended up not being a great fit but I didn't really get a chance to explore that ahead of time because I was doing the two things at the same time. And then the other one that I'd already been with for a few months, I mean, they straight up told me like, "Hey, if you wanted to do a second thing and you came to us and talked to us about it, we might have been able to come up with something that worked. But because
Mm.
you didn't, you're out." And I was like, "Well, okay."
Yeah. And you know what? That's the thing that I had to learn, because when I first launched my business, I was working 5 jobs. Yes,
I
5
think I
jobs,
remember some of
right?
that actually.
And I'm telling you what, life was a little crazy, but
Mhm.
I also owned it and said, I know this is not forever, but as I'm launching this business and growing this business, I still had to keep a roof over my head and do all the things to keep the business going. So, and eventually what was happening is each one of those jobs were falling away as my business
Mhm.
grew. There's no shame in doing that. So if you're hearing this and you're thinking you're starting a business, you're writing a book, you're doing all the things, there's no shame in it. Just be truthful and authentic about it, because
Yeah.
that authenticity is what people want to come and learn from you, right?
Mhm.
So yeah, and you experienced what happened when you weren't like being
Yeah, no,
authentic. Yeah.
that was a really tough time following that because both those
Sure.
jobs ended within basically the same week, last August, and that was a huge rug pull, and I basically had to take the next, month and a half to kind of recover from that.
Mhm.
Um, but that actually leads to the first part of your question, where I was like, the when did I did follow my intuition in a good way. While I was sort of recovering from that, I found the ghostwriting mastermind that I joined later that fall, at Premium Ghostwriting Academy, and I did a lot of due diligence, and I talked to the sales rep like 4 different times, and I was like, I want to
Mm.
make sure this was the right thing,
Yeah.
but there was something in me saying like, this is the next thing. This is the thing that's going to be right for you to do. And these cliche stories, but like the
Yep.
only way that I could do it was to take out a loan.
Yep.
And I was like, I don't want to do it that way. I don't want to do it that way. And then I went on a camping trip with my girlfriend and some other friends, and I was in the tent at like 3:30 in the morning, and I couldn't sleep.
Mm.
And I just like, I, this conversation with myself. I'm like, okay, how would this work? How could I make this work? How could I make this be okay? Like, is there a way for this to be okay? And over the course of maybe an hour and a half of just lying there on this air mattress, I was like, well, okay, if I did it this way, maybe that would work. And then that would lead this, and that would lead, and it basically, I came back from that trip, and I called the sales rep, and I'm like, okay, if we can set it up like this, I can do it. Let's go. And that was end of October last fall, and I took out some loans then. I took out an additional loan at the beginning of February, but, to be able to do that, I brought in a little bit of work around that time as well, but I had no prospects, no clients, no income, nothing going into this, and I was going back into debt after, divorce, bankruptcy, all the things that happened in, like,
Yep.
22 to 24. Um
Let me pause here for just a second. If you've been thinking about writing a book, or you've already started one, but it's been sitting there, unfinished, this isn't about motivation. It's about structure. Most people don't struggle because they don't have a story. They struggle because they don't have a clear path to follow. That's exactly what I do inside Finish the Book Publishing. I help you take your idea or your unfinished manuscript and move it all the way through to a finished, published book with a process that actually keeps you moving. And if you're ready to stop thinking about it and start finishing it, you can learn more at finishthebookpublishing.com.
and I've, it it worked. Like,
Mhm.
I
Yep.
I I was able to put the time in, put the focus in, learn the things I needed to learn, do the outreach that I needed to start doing. Not all that's hit my account yet, but I brought in $38,000
Yeah.
since then.
Yeah. And I think that's the lesson too for entrepreneurs, to hear us saying, hey, just because you have debt doesn't mean you are not successful. When you are starting a business or when you are leveling up your business, sometimes you have to have a little bit of debt in order to make the things happen, to move things forward. Because if you think about it, money's just energy, it's just a resource. So why are we so afraid of it, right? Allow yourself to do those things to make it work and to give you that breathing room to take the course you need or expand your business or write and publish a book, right? That's going to actually, like you just showed your example, to clients, and you've now covered the investment on your book. And now you're moving things forward because you're going to bring in those higher paid clients, which means you're going to be able to pay off the debt. So it's very cyclical. And I think people just get into this place of fear and then they are completely paralyzed and they don't know how to move forward. So, you're a great example of just following your intuition and saying, hey, if I do X, Y, and Z, I think it'll work. And you're proving that it's working. So I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
There's a somewhat colloquial saying that's fallen out of use recently, but and I think I've read it in a few of older books, like Laura Ingalls Wilder type level books, where it says like, be sure that you're right, and then go ahead. Like,
Exactly.
do the due
Yeah.
diligence, like vet the thing, make sure you're not just throwing yourself off a cliff and building the plane while you're flying it. But like,
Exactly.
once you've determined like, okay, this is the right thing, it's okay to do it.
Mhm.
Like, don't second guess yourself forever. You can trust that you'll be able to handle this. Maybe it won't look exactly how you think it will,
Right.
but once you've done the due diligence and that it's the right thing, trust that it's going to be the right thing.
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely. The trust is the whole thing and stop second guessing yourself on everything, right? Okay,
Yeah.
James, I love to pull cards. Shall I pull 3 cards for you?
Sure.
Okay, so go ahead and ask a question. You can ask it to God, universe, source, creator, whatever resonates for you.
Hmm. I have so much going on right now. How do I help me expand to hold everything? I have so much on my plate. I want a bigger plate. How do I increase the size of my plate?
Okay, how do we get a bigger plate for James? A bigger plate for James. Okay. Oh, I love this. Okay. Your first card out is a 33. 33 is the number of the master teacher. So you are a master teacher. You need to utilize those skills and talents to share that with other people. Now, here's what's interesting. We were talking about authenticity. This card is chaos and conflict. On the card, it shows a zebra that is covered in a giraffe skin. But the giraffe skin is coming off because the giraffe skin is not authentic to the zebra. And the zebra knows this. The zebra says, okay, I've got to shed that skin because it's not truly who I am. So being your authentic self, knowing that with that comes that price of chaos and conflict. And sometimes it can be a little scary, a little weird,
Yep.
the monster in the closet, but you are a master teacher. So you definitely need to continue on this path because what you have learned and what you have, the skills that you have acquired through all of your education and working with authors and all that stuff, you got to keep sharing that with people because it's really important. And I knew this card was going to come out because I saw this card in my mind's eye before I shuffled even. So the 47, which is an 11 card, 11 is the number of fate and destiny. And the card itself is go the distance. So this is saying you are in it for the long haul. Do not do anything that is a short-term quick fix because it won't last. And what's interesting is this has got a cheetah. The cheetah is going towards the finish line. Now the cheetah will typically go fast, right?
Yep.
But the cheetah also knows when to rest and when to take time and when to sleep, right? So you've got to really gauge your own energy, take time off when you need and just rest, even if it's for just a day or a weekend or something like that. You've got to recharge your batteries because there's going to come a time when you have to go fast and you've got to have the energy to do it. And you cannot maintain that pace and go for the long run. So it's saying, really watch your energy and how you're using it. You're in this for the long haul, which is a really good sign, right?
I love that came up because that was one of the things that came to me as I was thinking about, joining the mastermind last fall. Be like, if I'm going to do this, I have to do it in the long run. It can't just be a thing that I do for a little while and hope it makes me a whole bunch of money, because
Right.
I used to do that. I used to be like, I need to get a lot of results really fast or there's no point.
Right.
And I was like, that has not served me.
It's
So
not serving you. And the thing is that you have so much talent, but it's just been misplaced. It's been not used in the best way for you. So these are really good cards. So you've got a 33 and 11. And guess what?
love it.
Your next
What?
card is actually an 11. So now you have 11,
Oh, okay.
11, 33, 11, and 11. And
Nice.
this card is, believe it or not, by the book, right? We're talking about books. Like, this is crazy, right?
Love
So what this card is that there's 3 elephants on this card. So elephants are super smart.
Yep.
But they don't move quickly. They are methodical,
Mhm.
but they also notice how they follow the leader. They look at what's already being done and they duplicate that with their own spin on it, right? So it's saying, do what others have done before you. Don't reinvent the wheel, because that just, again, it's using energy where it's not going to
Yep.
serve you. But
Yep.
doing things by the book, really
Love it.
taking care of your energy. You're in this for the long haul. You're a master teacher, so step into
Love
that
it.
role. Step into that role and be truly authentic. You're going to be very successful.
Thank
You
you.
just gotta own it and get rid of any imposter syndrome. Like, if
Mhm.
there's
Yeah,
any
love that.
imposter syndrome, I want you to put that to bed, because that does not serve you. So yeah,
Awesome.
that's your reading.
That's beautiful. Thank you.
You're
I
very
love that.
welcome.
A lot of that resonates with things that I've been leaning into and thinking
Yeah.
about, and aside from the building on what other people have done, not reinventing the wheel. Like, the services that I'm providing, the educational lead magnets,
Mm.
the newsletter content, the LinkedIn content, that's not new. Like, the people I'm learning that from have been
See?
doing that in other industries
Exactly.
for years.
It's by the
But
book, right?
but to my knowledge, very few people, maybe not even anybody else, but very few other people are actually doing it specifically in the business book world and specifically in
Exactly.
the professional world. So
Yes. So
you're
you're creating this niche for yourself. And again, here, oh, look at, which one is that? Is that Shadow?
this is Sylvie. Sylvie's
Hi,
the
Sylvie.
sweet
I love
girl.
when cats show up. Yeah. So, I mean, you just step into this, own it, because you've got this in spades. Like, what you're
Yeah.
doing, you're right. It's nothing new, but you have a unique spin on it, and you have figured out how to monetize this and really go for it. So, okay, that being said, how can people find you and work with you? Because I think there's a lot of people that are going to that'll hear this episode and say, "Oh, I need to work with James. I've never really thought in terms about taking my marketing and monetizing it." Like, that's
Yeah.
kind of a mind shift, right?
It is.
So, yeah.
So the best place to find me is on LinkedIn.
Okay.
So it's literally, what is it, linkedin.com/in/ like James Ranson. Very easy to find me there. We can drop the link in the show notes. That's the best place to find me right now. There will be a website at some point in the not too terribly distant future, but right now I'm running it all on LinkedIn. So it's fine.
Yeah. And honestly, in our space, that's where people find us. They're not
Oh
finding
yeah,
us on
absolutely.
Instagram. They're not finding us on Facebook. They're finding us on LinkedIn. So
Yeah, that's where I'm at. And
I
that's
love
what
that.
I mean, a lot of the connections that I'm making, that's pretty much where they've been anyway. So yeah, that's where I'm gonna be.
Okay. And then my last question for you is, what words of advice would you give our listeners?
I think the most important thing that I can give as advice for somebody who wants to finish the damn book, firstly, is to get all of the help that you need on the creation side from the people who love to work on the creation side. So if you want to work with a ghostwriter, find one that really resonates with you, that you're like, this is my person. Same thing with you, and the editor, the designer, or else, if you want help with publishing, if you want help with the book launch side of marketing thing, like, find people that really resonate with you, that really care about your success, that are not just like, okay, you're another number that I'm going to put through. Oh, I've published, 5,000 books or whatever it is, and you're 5,001 kind of thing. Like, find the
Right.
people who are going to work with you because you're you.
Mm.
And then when you get into working with those people, have conversations with them about, okay, this is the kind of monetization that I want out of this book. I want to sell 10,000 copies. Okay, you're going to do this. I want to hit this bestseller list. Okay, you're going to spend $100,000 on it. Good luck. If you're going to, I want to get speaking gigs for this way. Okay, these are the kind of people that we're going to help you approach. Get specific help for your specific goals. Do not generalize. And if you only have general goals, spend some time figuring out what you could do to take those goals from general to specific, because the more specific you can get, one, the better help you'll be able to find, and two, the more likely you will be to actually achieve the things that you want. And then if you are looking to connect the book to a coaching offer or a mastermind or a community or something like that on the back end that will help, bring real ROI to it, then, come talk to me.
That's awesome. Oh, thank you. See, you are such a great, you're a master teacher. I love that. Well, thanks for being here today.
Thank you, Susie. This has been super fun, and we see, here's Sylvia again. No, I'm glad that we got to reconnect. Those of you who may not know this, Susie and I actually knew each other a few years ago. We were in the same coaching mastermind, and sent each other clients a couple of times, and then just reconnected recently. So
Yes,
it's wonderful to reconnect with you. I'm really glad we got to do this, and yeah,
me too. This is awesome. Thank you so much.
you're so welcome. Have a great day.
You've been listening to Finish the Damn Book, hosted by Susie Schaefer. If you're serious about finishing the damn book and want to explore what that could look like for you, your next step is a conversation. You can book a consultation at finishthebookpublishing.com and find out what it would take to move your book forward.